With regards to the historical axe, which was better, the hammer or the spike? The simple answer, as it is with most questions, is it depends. Depends on what exactly? Well, it depends on what the axe is being used for, and it depends on which setting the axe is being used in. Looking at historical finds, we can see that many of these axes had flat, hammer-like backs, and this makes sense considering that a spike makes very little use as a tool. But wait, you say, many of the axes that we assume were used for fighting also have these flat, hammer-like backs. And that's true, but you have to look at the context. These pictures of axes that I've been showing so far are from the Viking Age. And during that period, the armor would have consisted of a helmet, a gambeson, and some chainmail. So there would have been no plate armor, and you wouldn't have needed a dedicated armor-defeating accessory on your axe. A hammer could have done just fine, or the axe blade itself. So what was the flat, hammer-like back on there for? Well, it could have been there for aesthetic reasons, for balance, to be used as a crushing, blunt type of weapon, or to double as a tool. And I really think personally, and this is just speculation, that it did double as a tool, considering an axe in and of itself already is somewhat a tool, so why not add the flat hammer-like back to it to double the usefulness of this tool slash weapon. Also, considering the way in which these axes were usually made, and that was by taking a single piece of iron and folding it over to create the eye for the shaft of the axe to go through, and then the tip being welded together, or then pinching a piece of steel between those two pieces of iron and then welding it together, that inherently creates a rounded back. So to have a flat, square, hammer-like back to it would require extra work and be an extra step. So I do believe that they were there intentionally, and I personally believe it was there for maybe a blunt weapon, but also to be used as a tool. And we can see here from these paintings, the axes in other parts of medieval Europe also had flat, hammer-like backs. However, there's an important detail to notice within these pictures. No, I'm not talking about these two midgets, the midget horse, the wolf pig eating a who knows what, or this guy's odd method for riding a horse. I'm talking about the fact that the only armor shown is mail armor. So again, no dire need for a spike. Later on in the medieval period, we begin to see halberds with spikes and other hooks pop up as plate armor begins to take the stage. These hooks could be used to snag and pull opponents off balance and then thrust into the weak points of the plate armor. So it seems throughout most of the medieval period that the axes had hammer-like backs instead of spikes, and it's not until the development of plate armor in the late medieval period, say the 15th century, that we begin to see spikes really pop up. Now that's not to say that spikes didn't exist on axes throughout the early medieval periods, just perhaps that they weren't as prominent as they weren't as necessary. As plate armor develops, you have to come up with a sort of weapon that can defeat that new armor, and the spike seemed the obvious choice. Anyway, this is kind of my opinion based on research I've done. Let me know what you guys think, and as always, thank you for watching. If you guys want to help support the channel, you can check out the link in the description to my Amazon author page, where you can take a look at and pre-order my book, After the Last Battle. It takes place in a post-apocalyptic Earth where hell has won a war against heaven, so demons now rule all three realms, heaven, earth, and hell.